So once she tells us she starts, then we can.
Right, once you see us on the,
Nope, the red light's on, we're good.
there you
Okay.
go.
And we're on?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good evening. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the North Branford Conservation and Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency to order. This meeting on Wednesday, February 27th, 2019 at approximately 6:34 p.m. First thing I'd like to do is just do a roll call of everyone seated here this evening. To my left, we have regular members Jerry Fishback via Skype. We have Frank Pagano. We have Ashley Joyner. And to my right, we have Recording Secretary Mary Caruso. We have Town Planner Carrie Duquez, and who's also our Wetlands Administrator. I'm Steve Scavall. I'll be chairman for this evening's meeting. Next item would be item 3, minutes of January 23rd, 2019.
I move to accept the minutes.
And do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Great, okay. The minutes have been accepted. Right now, we're just going to do one additional thing. We're going to do two things. We're going to need a motion to
We
add
have to vote.
1560.
Yeah, we have to
Vote on the minutes.
Minutes, oh, sorry, yes, you're right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, minutes have been accepted.
Okay, I move.
Did Jerry vote on that?
Yeah,
Jerry, did you vote?
I'm having a real problem with the audio. I
Oh.
can barely understand Steve.
Oh, sorry.
Frank, you're over on the other side. You're pretty clear.
So was a motion to approve the minutes and then a vote to approve the minutes?
Well, let me vote after the fact. Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's an aye, okay.
Okay, I move to add an agenda item to the meeting tonight, discussion on 1565 Middletown Avenue.
I'll second that.
Okay,
And
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that
And
motion.
Aye.
I'd
Second
like
motion.
to move to add it immediately following the minutes approval.
Do we have a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're all set. So, Kara, if you want to start?
Sure, so, I'm just going to,
Come up.
yes. So we have the property owner here, Andy Bizzuto, and I'm just going to pass down some photos, that were taken 2 weeks ago at the site. I also emailed these to Jerry, and I just asked, Andy to come in this evening to kind of talk with the commission about where things stand with the project. And I did talk with Andy about shoring up the erosion control that's in place, adding some where erosion is occurring, but I just thought it would be good to have him give an update on the project.
Oh.
Good evening, everybody. Excuse me. So I thank you for taking the time tonight to hear my update. There we go. All was going well over at 1565 Middletown Avenue, and I guess I should start by thanking you for allowing me to transition into steel structural
Beautiful.
versus the wood that we were replacing those decks with, because as we started, we found really a lot of structural things that really we avoid for the future by changing to steel, right? So all the framework for those decks were originally going to be in land beam format, and just because of wood over that moisture over the years, we found tons of rot, even in the sill. So again, the past 4 months have been basically putting the structural back underneath this building. For, if you wanted to use an example, like a car, it would be a rotted frame, right? The frame being built out of wood, now it's steel. So she gets happier each day. The understructure is all set in iron, and we're just about complete. All the heavy structural iron is in. The beams are in excess of 800 and 900 pounds. Now we come in with a lighter iron to box it all, and then the decks are set and done. We won't be encroaching any further underneath. We put all the new cement pilings in, as you gave us the approval for. All the structural there is good. We submitted all them plans. We had some roofing issues. Of course, there was some leaks for the heating system, but all of that's up to par. We're running on all the existing heat systems. We didn't add anything to what was there. Sprinklers are in good shape, pressure tested to this date. We left them empty. We're not looking to utilize any of that at this point. Again, the envelope, the roofing, the leaks, a lot of the additions that they did in the early 90s were very substandard. They laid roof over roof. We found 3 roofs. There was a lot of structural stuff that needed to be addressed. So luckily, we've come through that part. Again, we've finished these decks on the exterior. We need to put the end steel on and the joist between the big beams, and then we're out of that. We'll lay AZAC. We're going to be using AZAC. That's like the plaster wood, lasts forever, and so on for the decks. Windows are on order. They're coming in a week. Plans. I've been waiting on plans like nobody else. A little dark, that picture. Go ahead.
Do I see you already started replanting evergreens? along
I
this area?
didn't plant them. They're towed in. I had requested, I picked up some evergreens direct from the grower in Massachusetts, and they're towed in right now, Ashley,
Okay.
into the mulching. In the spring, my goal is to put them along the river, as we had
Right,
talked about, Steve, when you had come out.
right, and then letting it grow.
So I was
in.
just kind of waiting until spring broke on that,
Okay.
but they're all towed in, and that's why those are there. Again, I'm doing some of that finish because my intentions are not to go back on the river edge and, come out of this. I do have one more thing I'll be coming to you guys with. As the plans are finished, I'll be submitting them. They'll be coming here first, then to P&Z. So to become compliant, a lot of the things we found were substandard in the building, even like electrical. We removed the old stuff. Wallingford Electric asked us to upgrade the panels, those kind of things. ADA, okay, so ADA compliance for wheelchair accessibility. That restaurant had never had to fall under the criteria of today. So one of the things that we're looking at adding is a silo to the building, which will give us the access to each floor with an elevator. And that'll give us the ADA compliance for the future. So what happens in this building is, it's really all about infrastructure. The building exists and we had to fix it to get it upright. But now it becomes, the ADA compliance, the bathrooms need to be a little wider to be able to be ADA. So it's all of those structural stuff. But again, I come to you with a full plan, and that'll be next steps. We will need to put a foundation alongside, not in the river. It's like 7 feet off of what exists. If you recall, Steve, when we walked out there, we walked on the gravel near the river's edge, down on the lower level. We would be looking for a foundation wall to come out there that will give us the compliance for the silo. And in the silo, it's only in theory a silo. It's actually the stairwell and the elevator level, so that we comply.
We did discuss that.
But that's you guys, absolutely. I know that's all, gotta come to you first, and as soon as those prints are finished, it'll be you.
We
and
just
then
need to see the
P&Z as well.
plans and it.
But all is well, and I thank you guys for your leniency. Let me get through the process. We're done with the trimming as far as you know, the state's coming back to do what they do with the big poles that are sticking up. They're removing them. The town contacted me, Kurt, and the state came back in and said they would be removing them as soon as weather breaks. So that again isn't me, that's what they're doing, so. All the garbage is picked up too, quite a bit of that on the slope side, so.
The one thing Karen mentioned is just some erosion control. I just wanted to mention that.
Yes,
Did you discuss
it's
that
hard to
with
keep
your
up with
leaders?
that silt fencing. The water goes up and down quite frequently on rain,
It
but
needs maintenance over
I'm
time.
on
It's
it.
for- okay.
I'm very cognizant of that, and I'm gonna put more hay. We've done some haying on both hills. So on the north side of the building, I'm gonna hay the hell out of that for you. I've even seeded some stuff again.
And as soon as the warm weather comes, I'm sure a lot of that will grow back.
Right, and I'm trying to do all my
But
things.
until then,
Yeah.
it's kind of bare right now, so we just want to make sure, that's
Agreed.
all.
And do
No,
you,
listen, and don't be afraid to give me a call at any time. I'm looking to be in compliance at every step of the way. I tell you all the time.
Carrie will call.
do you
When
have,
she calls, I get nervous. Things get low. I think, oh. But it's been great. Thank you, guys. Honestly, it's been a blessing to be able to get this thing back to where she'll be prom ready within the year. And
Glad to hear it's going well.
fresh skirt
because
and new
it'll be a
makeup should be
nice-
good to go.
A nice asset in that part, once it's
Guys,
all
thanks for your
done.
time again, really.
Carrie, did you?
Anything else?
I just real quick, do you have plans for planting on the slope, between the river and 17?
So.
We talked a little bit about that when I was out there.
Remember I approached you guys, I'm looking for some of your input, Riverside, so I did some seeding. I did some seeding there, more of a veg and a pasture seeding, stuff that we use on the ag side with the farm, and that was just to make sure we hold the controls. I'm ready to do ground cover. Again, the pines are going there. My thought with pines, guys, just on this, is that pine needles and under pines grows very little weed. You know, invasives, if not anything, so deer themselves in the storm will shelter under pine, right? So my thought with pines along the river was that, hey, the needles over time, it's kind of nice for fishing and their such. So that was the idea behind the pines, but I'm open to suggestions on anything you guys are thinking. I have wildflower, I didn't know if that was conducive, you know?
I think as your project develops, if you could have a landscape architect look at
So I'm gonna be
the
using Chris
riverside,
Jensen, our
right?
local.
Because they'll want, or I would say that I would recommend to the agency that they look at some kind of shading, some plants that provide shading for the river, also food source, so to have grass all the way up to the river's edge is
Love that
not
too.
ideal.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
No, you know.
And we want whatever you plant there, you don't want to plant stuff that's not gonna thrive. You want, there's certain plants that will, being that close to the river, so by getting some guidance and getting us a plan that we can look at, you know, we'll support anything as long as it fits.
Good, then I'll
you know,
get a formal plan
environment.
put together, I have the right guys, Christensen Landscaping, our local guys, I'll be
With
using
some,
them.
you know, planning suggestions,
Yep.
laying out whatever you
Yep.
want, and then let us review it, I'm sure, you know.
Absolutely,
we'll be
and
fine
that'll
with
come
it.
in with an overall plan as well, as you
Okay.
know, Kara,
Right.
the plan that's coming is quite extensive. 'cause
Right,
we're
right. So
doing
as long
a
as that-
bunch of site work.
You know, as Ashley said, and Carrie and the other members said, just as long as you include that on the plan,
Yep.
when you come in, that,
Yep.
you can do it all at once, you don't have to
Yep.
have a separate planning and be just one page of
Yep.
probably, 10 or whatever.
I'm hoping to bring you a whole package so that,
Okay.
I don't wanna talk about plants anymore, not meaning tonight, I mean, as we get through this. The plans seem to take a lifetime, and then the project itself moves, so. But thank you, again, just call me with any inconsistencies or whatever I need to do to make it right.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks very much.
Okay, I guess it's time to move on to item 4, right? Correct.
Yeah,
Public
Katie,
hearing?
that's 3A and B.
Right, the other ones would be 3A and 3B,
Yeah.
you're correct, we're already by those. So, we're gonna open we're gonna start with the public hearing, item A, IWWA 2018-14, re-subdivision application for 10 lots, of which 7 of the lots are located within a 100-foot upland review area and/or 200 feet from the Farm River at 363 Tutucket Road. Owner, what TF LLC applicant, ATA Realty, application received on December 12th, 2018, public hearing postponed from January 23rd, 2019, 14 days extension granted on February 14th,
Steve,
2000. Yes?
who's speaking right now?
Oh, that's
Steve
me.
was, and he's opening the
Yeah.
public hearing.
Yeah, I just couldn't hear a word you said.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Maybe- should we move
Next time, we're gonna have to move you right next to me, Jerry, I think.
Yeah.
Like old times.
Yes, that's right.
You just wanna bump me out.
So basically, we're on item 4. If you have an agenda, basically, that's what I read, everything under 4A.
Okay, for,
Public hearing, yes,
Public
the public
hearing, right.
hearing. You're being moved,
Right.
Jer.
right,
This is better, can you hear me now?
I hear you great now.
Perfect, okay. So, anyway, so I guess we're all set there. So I guess the first thing, unless you have anything, Carrie, you can start with anything, and then we can let the applicant identify himself and go over the plan, or?
I think we'll let
Let 'em
them
go?
start,
Okay.
and then I can
Sure.
provide
You just
other
did-
Can I
input.
just ask one quick, is this the one that we're talking about tonight, the last one that we got? Or has there been any changes since then? This was the November 26th, 2018.
No, February 1st, 2019 is what I have.
Okay, well then we haven't gotten copies of those. We don't have February 1st copies of any plans.
If you have the copy, you can put it right in front, and we can at least,
Because the last one we got was this November 26th.
Okay.
you can put it for Frank and Ash, and I'll look on it.
Okay.
We'll have something to, if we need to reference, but otherwise, we'll let the applicant go through it all. So you just-
I'll let Peter speak to this, yeah.
And, I'm sorry, did you identify yourself for the record?
Wait for you guys to be ready.
Okay, sorry. Just- So you can identify yourself and proceed.
Sure. Peter Hughes, on behalf of the applicant. Commission's familiar, public's familiar. The 22-acre site on 363 Pawtucket Road. We were in last year and received approval for a 13-lot subdivision, which map is recorded on the town land records, so that is an active approval. We're in tonight to by 1.77 acres. Upland.
You mean reduced?
Outside,
What's
all
that?
complete site.
Complete site, okay.
It's been reduced by 1.7.
Reduced, gotcha, okay.
acres, eliminating the road, basin. Everything else in your previous approval, every condition is applicable to this. The only difference is the date of the letter of the health district and the date of these plans. You found that this application had no significant activity because you approved of the condition. You found before this public hearing that this current modification didn't have the activity, and you had this hearing for public interest, as was a lot of public interest at the last one. So basically, we're not changing anything on the southern side, those 4 lots. The only modification is to move the road and the basin and 3 buildings. So the common driveways, the only change in the plan from December to the February one you see is the drainage relocation. The drainage ran down Totucket and then came down the open space strip and discharged. What we did is we, after talking with Kurt extensively, we slid lot number 7 to the south, put a strip in, and ran the drainage through that, and that became open space, that strip. So that's part of the open space with the drainage underneath it. Kurt asked us to pick up the current cross culvert on Totucket Road, which is going into this basin in this design. So we're picking it up here and just charging it into a smaller outlet. Kurt's reviewed it, he's fine with, you have his letter, there's no objection to it. Basically, that's what we're here to ask you for, is to change from a road with these lots to no road with these lots with more open space, less wetland disturbance, close to 100, 200. We've never had any wetland impacts, we still have no direct wetland impact. You have a report from Michael Klein, you have a follow-up letter from Michael Klein, same conclusion, agree with this application as this, there is no adverse impact to the resource. Everything on this plan, septic system, house location, are either in the same location as the previous application or further away from the resource. So there's nothing that was close to any resource. All we did on this lot was change the lot line. The house location didn't move, the septic location didn't move. The septic system for this lot is the same septic system was for the old lot number 5. There's nothing new here that's within the regulated area, with the exception of changing the drainage. And that's the only difference in the regulated activity. Everything else has been greatly reduced. And so we have the health district letter, we have the RWA letter.
And the difference from the original one to this one too is you are not bringing in public water.
We are bringing.
You are now. Okay, because then it had not, and now you are again?
Public water is coming in.
Okay.
The
So-
road, the town.
Confused on
everything.
that as well.
Yeah, so,
It is public water.
okay, because at the last time you were here, you said no, you were not bringing public water in now, and now you are bringing it back in again.
So one
Okay.
of the exhibits actually that is in the folder, but I should just note for the record, is the letter from East Shore District Health dated January 3rd, which is where the East Shore District Health said that they are going to require water.
Okay.
So that's,
So they met that
long story
requirement.
short of how we got to where we are. And
Okay.
there was a conference call with East Shore Regional Water Authority
So-
and the developer.
So when water comes in, is there going to be any improvement or widening of the road?
No, we're gonna repave the road to center line.
Okay.
The only road improvements are the same ones you approved in the past application with grading, back and putting it in the catch basin, making those improvements around, nothing's changed over it, as far as drainage.
Excuse me one second, the water is being brought into every lot?
Yes,
Okay.
and yeah. I don't know if you have any questions? Pretty straightforward, should be touching.
My questions really don't pertain to your application, that I'm still concerned about the culvert that Mark Longo has.
We had the wettest, seventh wettest, fifth wettest season last year. There was never a time where we had a low flow where it didn't rain. It rained 23 out of 31 days in August.
I thought he was gonna,
September, we had a little window and then it poured.
but it
just
was,
never got low enough.
but it was okay in July. I thought he was gonna do it in June and July.
It was not okay.
No,
It wasn't?
There still was a lot of water in it, yeah.
We had a high water the whole
All
summer.
right, so when is that gonna be taken care of?
We're in La Nina this summer.
All right, well, I thought it was gonna be last summer, so.
No, it's just, if it didn't rain so much, seriously, there
Yeah,
was
no,
never a
it
point
was.
where we had a clear window of a low flow event. And we did not wanna get this when the river was going up and down.
So are you gonna be, are your group taking it out, or Mark's group gonna
Mark
take
will
it
be
out?
taking it out.
Mark's gonna take it out,
That's
right?
still on target, I'm
Oh,
just
yeah,
waiting for the right,
we
just waiting for low flow, is what you're saying.
We communicated with Carrie in June and July
Okay.
and August, and let her know. We thought we'd have a window in September and then it just poured.
All right. And then my only other comment, again, I don't think it pertains to your application. In December, I was down that street and we had a rain event. And the water was coming down from, I guess it would be north of their site, over the road, over lots 5 and 7, and into the lake. In fact, 5 and 7 were completely flooded, and the river, I mean, was totally muddy in this little pond area here. How is that gonna be fixed by what you're doing, or is that even gonna be addressed?
That is gonna be corrected with this catch basin.
I'm sorry, where is that here? Is
Right
that
on the cross right where you saw the water overflowing.
here?
Gotta go next.
And that's one of the comments from the town engineer. One of his comments is to add an inlet at the structure on the west side of Pawtucket Road across from lot number 5.
Oh, on the other side of the street.
So it's right here.
Oh, and then he's saying put another one.
We're tying one up here. We're tying one up here, bringing it down to here. Tying a catch basin up here, and then we're putting a basin right where your finger is, with an inlet.
Okay.
Part of the issue too is this pipe is broken. So water's getting in there to a point and then it's backwatering.
Oh, is that what's, all
So
right.
we're gonna be correcting that.
Yeah, because when I went
No,
down.
that's part of the problem.
When I went down the street, it was pouring.
Yep.
And, I mean, I don't know about the pipe, but
No, that pipe
this
is
whole area was flooded, so.
broken and silted in,
Yeah,
so you're getting it backwatering.
all right.
But
'Cause you
that'll all
hate-
be taken care of with
'Cause I
that.
hate to see people spend money on these houses
No.
and then they're flooded.
Basin,
All
discharge.
right.
So there'll be more than adequate to.
Yeah, and we're,
Drain the
and
road.
Kurt asked us to curb it. So
Oh,
there'll be a
you're
curb.
gonna
And you're
curb
taking
it?
care of this basin too?
Yeah, nothing's yet, we're doing that originally and still
Yeah,
doing that.
okay.
That was part of it, okay.
Yeah.
Did you see all that?
Yeah, thank you.
It's like a baby.
I'm babysitting.
I'm not that old.
Oh, yeah.
Right, you're not that old.
Nor are we.
I want to ask something. Frank, you brought up the issue about culverts. And if my memory is correct, those culverts are concrete, aren't they?
I think they're metal, the ones that they're gonna pull out.
Where the ones where the road at the very back side where it
Oh.
crosses over?
Oh, they're metal.
Farmer,
They're
they're
metal.
metal.
Oh, they're metal.
They're
Yeah.
metal,
Okay.
they're round
Never mind.
tubes.
They're two big round
For some
tubes.
reason, I thought they were concrete, and I was
No.
gonna
No.
suggest taking them and,
It's like a
you know,
corrugated,
just crushing the tops out and removing the tops and leaving.
it's like a corrugated pipe.
Yeah. No, it's a pipe.
But the plan was, I thought they're just gonna get a crane, in a low flow, pull it right up and just pull it right out without damaging,
There you go.
doing any.
Okay.
I think that was the plan, if I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would be helpful? Do you want me to go through comments at this point? Would you like, I also want to just go through the exhibits that were submitted.
Sure.
The new ones, yeah, why don't you do that then before
Okay.
we start the public part of the hearing, sure.
Okay.
Unless
So,
the members have any more questions at this time, okay.
so just a little bit of housekeeping. So to run through the exhibits that we have currently, because This is actually the third application on this property. So I just wanna make sure that each one can stand alone. So Exhibit 1 for this application talks about the current proposed plan versus the previously approved plan, the impervious coverage and open space, so we've included that. Exhibit 2 is the December 10th, 2018 letter from Michael Klein, that Peter mentioned. Number 3 is April 3rd, 2018, a Lorero letter. And this is regarding, if any material were to be found on the property, that, that it would have to be properly removed. It also talked about the phase 1 that was done on the property, soil samples that were taken. Exhibit number 4 is dated February 19th, 2018. It's from Davison Environmental. It's the wildlife assessment. Exhibit number 5 is dated April 3rd, 2018, also from Davison Environmental. It's an update of the February 19th, 2018 wildlife assessment. And Exhibit 6 is the approval from April 4th, 2018, which was for the subdivision of the 13 residential single-family house lots with public water. But that also included the roadway and detention basin. So then number 7, Exhibit number 7, I just mentioned, I'd like to add tonight, which would be the letter from East Shore District Health Department dated January 3rd, 2019. And this is where they are citing regulations from the Connecticut state agencies, which is where they'd like to require public water. And that's due to the owner subdividing a piece of property, and if that parcel is within 200 feet of water, and they're interpreting it that you remember originally there was a lot 12 that was farthest to the south,
Yes.
that was no longer part of the plan. They interpreted that to be owned by the same person, therefore requires public water all the way up, and it worked out anyway because Regional Water was able to work with the applicant. So then for Exhibit 8, I just wanted to include another letter from Lorero Engineering, which talked about some of their findings when they did all of those test pits in 2018. So this is dated March 14th, 2018. So that will be Exhibit 8. And then Exhibit 9 will be the test pit location plan, which went along with that. And then Exhibit 10 will be the original wetland delineation evaluation and impact assessment that Michael Klein did for the property. And then number 11 will be the addendum for the wetland delineation evaluation and impact assessment dated January 24th, 2018. And then going through comments from the town engineer, he did request that an inlet be added at the structure on the west side of Totucket Road across from lot number 5 for the reasons that we just talked about due to water in Totucket Road. He said the town will provide pipe and catch basin materials for crossing basin and inlet. The developer is to install as part of the project. And he'd like to see curbing extended up to lot number 1 as part of the water main installation road repair. And in general, would like to see curbing provided where water main is installed, except for low area where the water can sheet flow to open space. He also has commented, do you want to go over that real quick? Maybe just where the curbs are being proposed, Peter?
So it sounds like the applicant is going to meet all the requirements then?
Yes.
That Kurt has put in, I assume.
Kurt wants us to curb from here down to the basin. From the high point down to that basin. And then the sheet flow area would be here and here.
I'm sorry, where was the high point again?
High point is right on the lot line between 8 and 9.
Oh, right here?
Right where that dot is.
Oh, all right, okay.
So curve it down to the basin.
I don't know, the sheet flow is still.
And then he's just saying anything that bypasses there's not gonna be much sheet flow. I mean, there's a gutter here, it's gonna take it back. We're picking up this whole side of the road with the curb. Maybe in a heavy storm, something like jump over the basin, but there really won't be much flow to those areas.
One change that has occurred from what you're showing on that plan, Peter, is the drainage is actually part of the open space.
Yeah, I told him this line moved over.
Okay,
this
sorry.
part of the strip,
I just wanted to-
incorporated the open space.
Yep, okay. So there would be an easement in favor of the town so that the town could maintain that.
Okay.
It looks like there's two easements, one on one side of lot 7 and one on the other side of lot 7. Let's see, this easement and this one.
Yes, it's to access
Those
either
two
way.
easements, yeah.
They have
So lot 7 is surrounded by two easements.
Yeah, this is the open space and the easements over both the open space.
Okay.
He also stated providing adequate cover for basin and pipe at the crossing, provide a detailed drawing showing drainage, water main, and road repair with locations and dimensions, so to show an offset from the center line. The 24-inch RCP pipe outlet needs adequate cover. And to eliminate the sanitary from the typical service crossing detail. Revised sequence of construction to reflect no new road, only repairs to existing road per current design. And then he just commented on some proposed monuments may be in conflict with proposed improvements. And my comments were just more zoning related regarding setbacks, which have been changed. There was this is just a kind of administrative error, but on one of the plan sheets, C3, it talks about removal of the wood chips, and lot 7 just has to be changed to lot 9. East Shore District Health said that they have reviewed the proposed 10-lot subdivision. The plans are dated November 16th, 2018, last revised to February 1st, 2019. The plans call for extension of public water. And due to the presence of junk fill / municipal solid waste, private wells are not recommended. Due to the concerns of municipal solid waste and many of the deep test holes, we will require each lot where junk fill is present to have a professional engineer oversight. All junk fill in the area of the septic system must be removed and replaced / prepared with select fills. We recommend wetland approval, from Alex Sinati. And the Regional Water Authority also submitted a letter dated February 27th, and they are recommending, let's see, just some general comments that Connecticut Public Health Code, because it's within the watershed inspectors are required to perform routine inspections of properties within public water supply watersheds, so they shall be granted access to the property during the annual inspection program for installation of erosion and sedimentation controls during all work greater than 1 acre to be disturbed, which would require a stormwater general permit for construction activities with deep. Also recommending minimum setback goal of 50 to 100 feet and keeping that wetland buffer area in a natural state, and no use of lawn care chemicals within that area.
We're testing them to their deeds.
If the residences are to be heated with fuel oil, should be stored above ground. Also, stormwater management inspections shall be done during construction and post-construction. They thought that their methods that they listed on ES1, sheet ES1, are acceptable. And then properly storing all hazardous materials during construction in a secondary container. And same thing for bulk fuel.
I don't understand the comment on the fuel oil, because I was under the impression you couldn't bury oil tanks. So does that mean if there's
They may just be, it might
if there's
be
basements
redundant.
here, they can't, I don't know if there's basements, that means they can't go in the basement?
Fuel storage tanks and associated piping in the basement should be segregated from floor drains and sump pumps to prevent spills and leaks from
Oh, okay.
discharging to the environment.
Okay.
So those were all of the comment letters that I've received.
Okay, great, thank you, Carrie.
Mhm.
Any more comments that you want to share with us, or should there's now, unless there are any questions from the agency members, just want to maybe open up to the public, let the public speak. So at this point now, we'll open it up to the public. So if anyone has any comments they'd like to make or can share with us, by all means.
Yes, some questions, because I didn't see it, but would you guys like to go first?
It's okay, just whoever, just identify yourself for the record and go ahead.
Good evening, I'm Lindsay Suter, 16 Mill Road. I'm in a butter to my north, the south.
Could you spin that a tiny bit?
Yep.
Here, I'm
Can
gonna
you-
turn the volume down.
Perfect, thank you.
You should go on mute.
Feedback.
You should be Can you go on mute when you're not speaking?
Yeah.
Hold on, Jer, I'm gonna turn the volume down.
We're just getting a little feedback.
Yeah. It's very noisy there.
I don't know. Okay.
Can you still hear us there, Jerry? Jerry?
Yes.
Oh, you can hear, it's still okay?
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Here,
All right.
is there a meeting to get to?
I beg your pardon?
He knows about the other meeting.
Oh,
the
yes,
land
yeah,
trust meeting.
I dodged out of it. Yeah, I spoke really fast and then came here. I'm Lindsay Suter of 16 Mill Road. I'm in a butter to the south of the proposal. Here, there to my north. And
I'm sorry, Lindsay, I can't hear you at all.
okay, shall I speak up? Is this better?
Oh, that's much better.
Okay,
That's,
I'll get right in there, like Mick Jagger. Okay, so I will try to distinguish between when I speak as Lindsay Suter, the individual who's in a butter, and Lindsay Suter, the land trust member, but they have a lot to do with each other. So it's my understanding that it's very important to everybody that the land trust take the open space land, because, well, that's my assumption, and people seem to be nodding.
Yes.
So in order for that to happen and to have the most successful outcome here, I maintain I am a solutions-oriented guy, and I want to make the best of this as possible. And in order for the land trust, as I understand it, to accept this land, we would like to know a little bit more on a few things. And so I was hoping to have a horse trading session during this month, but unfortunately that never came to be. My concerns have been partially satisfied already this evening with the runoff from the road. The so-called sheeting at the pinch point remains a little bit of a concern to me, and most in particular, there's this retention pond that is at the crux, at the pinch point, very close to Totucket Road, and we don't know what's in it, or if we are going to be responsible for maintaining it, or clearing it out when eventually it fills in, and that sort of stuff. We just want to be very careful we don't get a pig in a poke, you know, that we are responsible for something that we don't know about. To my mind, now speaking as Lindsay Suter, the individual, I'm okay with the phase one environmental. I think to the extent that you reasonably can, it's been checked out, and you pays your money and you takes your choice, and that I'm okay with that. I'm concerned with also the easement along the water on what is, I guess, currently lot number 10,
Yep.
to make sure that that is indeed passable, so that a footpath can indeed go there. But really, my main concern centers on this retention pond, cesspool, kind of whatever that is. I don't know much about it. and us being responsible for it. That'll do it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stewart.
Thank you.
Any other comments at this time, or?
Yes, my name is Greg Sharp, and I participated in the last year's hearing. I just want to say again, to the applicant's credit, one of the major issues was the issue of waste fill on the site, and he had Lorero come in and do an extensive set of test pits, and Lorero's provided 2 reports, April 2nd, April 3rd, in which they reported the results of those. I have to confess, I have not seen the most recent plan, but the original plan that was submitted, it was difficult for me to try to figure out what areas in the current configuration had the test pits that tested positive for waste, because there was no overlay of the Lorero test pit information on the subdivision plan. So it was difficult to figure out which lots are impacted and which part of the open space is impacted. I believe that from just looking at them, there's a significant amount of fill, I believe, on the proposed open space, and some on a few of the residential lots. Now, what Lorero, in their report on April 3rd, which you have, they suggested, they pointed out that the DEP has a requirement that if there's more than 10 cubic yards of solid waste, it's got to be removed under a solid waste disturbance authorization. But Lorero was unable to determine whether there's more or less than 10 yards. So what Jeff Lorero said in his letter was, in the event that more than 10 cubic yards of solid waste is encountered in the performance of this work, it would be appropriate to revisit the need for the authorization. The solid waste observed in the test pits can be readily separated from the surrounding soil. The solid waste separated from the soil should be placed in a roll-off container and properly disposed of off-site. Any soil excavated to remove the solid waste can then be backfilled, et cetera, which is a perfectly reasonable approach, assuming you were doing the remediation in one job. In other words, but I don't think the applicant is proposing here, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know that they're proposing that they would go in as an initial matter and remove all of the waste before then selling lots, et cetera, okay? So that raises a couple of questions. What is the timing of the waste removal, particularly on the open space, if in fact I'm correct that there is waste on the open space parcel? And secondly, how does the town know that this has all been done in accordance with the requirements? I know there's a note on the plans that said any solid waste shall be disposed of in accordance with all state and local regulations. But it would be, I think, a better approach if the commission put a condition, at least as to the properties that the area, the site that is in your jurisdiction, that the applicant retain a licensed environmental professional like Mr. Lorero or one of his people to just verify that the waste in the areas that had been previously identified have in fact been removed. And as to any waste on the residential lots, that when encountered in doing site work, septic, foundation, et cetera, that waste has been removed as well. And that may be more than one report. I mean, depending on how many lots are affected. So I apologize, I can't give you chapter and verse as to which lots have which test pits that tested positive, but conceptually, I think that would be a condition that commission should consider. But I again want to applaud the applicant for having had Lorero do this test pitting to get this issue off of the radar screen, so to speak. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name's Scott Small. I'm at 285 Notch Hill Road. And I am echoing his thoughts, basically. And I did get a copy of the test pit numbers and such, and it's not so much on these plans, but on the southern end, lot 10 over there.
Excuse me, Scott, I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty
Okay.
hearing you.
Hold on a second. See this? Yeah. Just do the whole thing. I'm echoing Greg Sharp's thoughts, and our concern mostly with the land trust is the fact that we don't want to be responsible at some future time for cleanup of site that for the debris that's there. And we did get a copy of the blow up of the areas, and I know there's 5 numbers on that second letter that talk about extensive areas of debris in areas. It's second letter. It was, oh, they are. Test pits 12, 14, 74, 75, and 77. And 14 is over in this area, which is, again, whether it's on a lot or in the wetlands, I don't know. And 74 and 5, they're all pretty much like down this road in this area here, which was pretty much, I'm assuming, is the open space now. So I just want to echo Mr. Sharp's thoughts that, you know, before the land trust can take that, you know, you got to be sure that everything is clean in there. And again, I don't know what they're planning on doing, whether they're just going to clean that up. And I think I'd ask Carrie this too, you know, who monitors that? Is that just on Kurt and Carrie? Or is there someone like Luero who can actually come back and hand a report that says, you're all good, you're ready to go, it frees the town up of liability and frees the land trust of liability. Other than that, I think that subdivision would be beneficial to the area. Our concern is just that the debris and the past abuses of this land are unfortunately the repercussions of the and responsibility of the incoming development. So that's where I leave it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
No,
One more, okay.
Sorry.
no,
Go ahead.
Sure.
Hi, Donna Pursley, Marjorie Drive. Again, I applaud the applicant for staying away from the wetlands and the review area on that part of the property. Kind of wish they kind of shoved things down on the other side too, where the Clearview Farms is. Would have been a nice area to put the houses, the property, so they would be further away from the water. I also noticed that between the property line of Lot 10 and the actual water, there appears to be maybe 20 feet, I'm not sure, depending on exactly what time of year it is. So there needs to be access to the rest of the open space without actually walking through the water. The other thing I'm concerned about is the boulders. So when they actually have boulders on these properties, they should be closer together rather than 50 feet, 75 feet. They should be at some reasonable distance where the homeowners know that those boulders were put there for a reason. And again, a condition should be the culverts need to be removed because it's also going to be a problem for the builders. If those culverts are still there, the ATVs have access to come in, possibly take material, and easy access to get away, and no one would ever find them. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. Any more comments at this time? Sure? Yep.
There were 2 things I forgot to mention.
all right. It's
One,
not too late.
I think as I told Mr. Wiedemann back in, I think it was December maybe, the scaled back number of lots, I think is a good thing for everybody. I mean, both from a planning and zoning perspective as well as wetlands protection and open space. So I applaud that. I also think the public water was although there was a lot of pushing and shoving, ultimately the best outcome for the project. The one thing I wanted to add that is maybe new information for some of you, I did mention this to Carrie, and the issue of the culvert removal triggered it. There is a fishway that is planned at Lindsay Suter's property, right? That CFE and Save the Sound has now provided the last piece of funding. That project is supposed to, it's CFE, DEP, and Trout Unlimited. That project's supposed to happen this summer during low water, which I must.
The bridge,
Yeah.
the
The waterfall.
The fish ladder.
fish ladder, that's the word I was looking for.
And so all I'm suggesting is there might be, it might be beneficial to coordinate the removal of the culverts, which also need to occur at low water, so that they're not.
One disturbance all in one shot is
Right.
kind of thing.
And the other reason I mentioned the fishway is it's going to make the open space parcel potentially just a lot more interesting and attractive, because the alewives and blueback herring are going to be coming up, and kids can watch them and learn about them, and it's a great thing. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any more comments at this time? Very good. I just have one question that I was thinking about, because some of the public, as they spoke about some of the waste on the plan, I'm trying to refresh my memory. I mean, it wasn't as bad as we thought, but there were pockets of it. So I guess I'd like to throw it out to the agency members, adding a condition just maybe to clean up what you find, if you can address it.
That is the condition.
Oh,
You read
right.
number 18 or 19.
I think we added it, right, so.
As far as the land trust, the applicant has been discussing with the land trust the particulars of the transfer.
Okay.
It's not going to be done in the public realm,
Right.
but, the discussions will happen. As far as the waste, if we encounter the waste, we will remove it. If we encounter 10 cubic yards of waste, as Mr. Sharp pointed out, and Mr. Lorero, then we have to go seek a deep permit. In our discussions with Lorero, they didn't see 10 cubic yards in any one place. They saw a little here, a little there.
Right, that's what I
not a
remember,
big-
but I wanted
not a
to
big-
revisit.
As Attorney Sharp, it wasn't a big mother load somewhere.
Right.
But there is here. When we encounter it, we're gonna address it. The health district in their letter required us to have a professional engineer on site when we're excavating for the septic system to observe that.
Oh, so if you saw it at that time, you would, I think
There
that's
is
what
gonna be
Mr.
a
Sharp.
professional on site.
Okay, perfect.
So again, whatever we see, we'll remove in a proper manner,
Okay,
whether it's in a garbage can or in a roll-off. We're not anticipating encountering large amounts of solid waste.
but if you do,
There
you'll
were-
remove it. is
There
what
were
you're saying.
200 test holes dug out there.
I remember it was
Between the septic
expensive.
and Valero.
I can't tell you every location, but I remember at the time there was a lot, so.
So we will, address that, and again, it's in the condition of approval that we have to address it. So, I mean, that goes without saying. The easement, it's already recorded, the map is, that easement location was chosen by the land trust in the field with Bob and myself on the field walk last year. They told us exactly where they wanted it, and that's exactly where it is. Really, that's it. With some other questions?
Well, just, if you don't mind, just to add on, couple questions that they brought up. One was that little, retention pond,
One in the middle, the blue one.
or wherever it is. Yeah, that one. The question that was asked was if that's contaminated in any way or not, or was it
That
fill
was
in
the
there?
discharge, that was the permitted discharge by the DEP of the animal waste from the barn.
All right, so that's, you're not gonna do anything with that, okay.
So you're not gonna add to it, obviously, there's no more, hopefully, waste going in there, so.
The little stitches.
Just the geese.
That's the geese.
And you're not gonna dredge it in any way then?
I did talk with Michael Klein when we walked it as part of the wood chip work to just kind of
There is
clean
an
it up a
area
little
out there
bit
where
to,
there's some material that we have to address.
Right.
On the
Oh,
south
right, I
side.
remember there was a pile of something, that's what I
Yeah, on
remember.
the south side.
Yeah, there was a
Something
pile
like
of
that, too.
debris, there was,
Yes.
so if you're gonna clean that up and then.
Yeah, everything on the south side, we did address.
But I'm just thinking as a result of the drainage improvements that you're making, there shouldn't be more flow into that in the future, should probably be less, right? It will probably
You
just
don't have any
exist as
farm
a.
discharge anymore.
That's, I mean, it'll be a depression that will collect rainwater, but it won't be, it won't be, right, it won't be collecting active runoff drainage from across the street is what I'm saying, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. there's-
Okay.
there's-
And then my other question, because that space is very tight behind lot 10 and we've run into this problem before, how will the homeowners be made aware that people are gonna have legal access to that, to their backyards, basically?
Lot,
I mean,
the lot 12 will have,
Lot 10.
sorry, will have an easement in its deed, saying there's a pedestrian easement in the back of your lot. The other lots is gonna say they have public open space, and there's a map to refer to. So they will know at closing that there's an open space parcel that's gonna be.
It should be
probably
full
active.
disclosure, right, so they know that,
Could be
right?
very active.
Yeah.
okay, I'm sorry, because I've gone to one too many
The
closing
easement
in my life.
disappears in floodwater.
Nobody discussed anything like that at any closing I've ever gone to. How are we sure that the homeowner and subsequent homeowners?
If you want us to
really-
require to put a note in deed that they abut public open space that is for passive recreation, we can put that on the deed.
Because they don't even, I mean, the closings I've gone to, they don't even discuss the deed. It's all about the mortgage and the transfer of money and all that
Do you
stuff.
want to make a condition that we put a note on the deed that it's abutting, the lots that abut open space, that abuts open space?
If you add it to it, then it'll have to be legally discussed, so that's, probably a lot of
we have,
closings don't have that.
we have in
but-
here, this is what the condition reads, which is what was in the original approval. The open space deed and easement across lot number 10 shall be subject to the review and approval of the town attorney, North Branford Land Conservation Trust, and town planner. The draft deed and easement document shall be submitted at the same time that the applicant submits to the wetland agency's staff the final approved subdivision plans acted on by the Planning and Zoning Commission for conformance review with the Inland Wetlands Agency's wetlands approval.
The way I'm taking your question is, it's beyond that, Carrie. I think he's talking
Yeah,
about the
it's
open
beyond that.
space parcel.
Yeah, I'm talking about the whole thing, because,
He just wants us to add a note to lots 3, 6, 7,
That they abut open
8, that they
space.
abut
Open
open
space.
space
And I mean,
and passive
the
recreation.
boulders that we
Yeah.
place will also be a
3,
guideline
6,
of
7,
what we're going, that they'll know.
Yeah, that's fine.
hopefully.
Well, hopefully, right,
As far as the fish ladder, we can coordinate that activity, absolutely.
Will just be good, one disturbance instead of two,
Oh, no, it should be
Obviously, it'd be
done.
good for, it'd be good for both of you, for both projects, sure, if you could, that'd be great.
Quick note, it would be great and of course wise to do. The only reason I didn't bring that up is because I've had my heart broken so many times on that project. Oh, we're gonna do, oh, no, we're not, oh, we get the, oh, we get the permit, no, we don't.
Well,
So,
let's keep the
we'll
faith.
see if it's
Well-
this summer, glory be.
Look, if there's low flow this summer, the pipes are coming out.
See, now,
Right, I love it.
if we pray for no rain, the farmers won't like that either, because they're gonna have a drought, so we gotta have a happy medium, maybe just a week or two of, yeah, but you're right, it'll be done. As Frank, we haven't forgotten about it,
So
as
would
you
you
can see.
like to see a condition regarding lots 2, 3,
It's 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah. Right, 'cause
They're just gonna add a note that they put open space with passive recreation.
Well, actually, it's not 9, sorry, it's 8 and 10, because 10 surrounds 9. So it's 8 and 10.
and 12?
No, 12,
No more 12.
There is no
yeah.
12.
There's no 12 in this part
I'm
of this
sorry, all right.
application.
But
Okay.
don't worry, I do it all the time.
And that wouldn't even, wouldn't matter, because that's right on the street, it's outside lot.
Carrie, can you check on those special conditions to see also if, the stone markers are there to delineate the wetlands?
You mean we can read them, want to just read them, just, again, just to review
Yeah.
for
Well, I just
everyone?
wanna see what's in there.
Because I wanted to see them
With
too,
no
I
dumping of
don't
lawn
remember.
materials beyond the markers, no cutting of grass.
Jerry has these, so.
Yeah, I have that.
Yeah. Standard conditions and special conditions, all right.
Oh, is that a thing that Jerry's low?
Yeah, Jerry's low.
What's that?
We have to plug you in, but we have no plug.
Here,
Am I fading?
Yeah, the alarm just went off that you're about to go off.
Feels weak.
I can't believe it.
So
Yeah,
Seventeen
we're not
covers
there, so I
that,
want-
17 covers the one about the woods. We still need to add the,
Yeah, no, I still want these three things.
conditions.
I want stone
What's
markers
that?
to delineate wetlands,
No, it's
no
okay.
dumping of lawn materials, and no cutting and clearing beyond the
Remind
markers,
me the next
especially in
time
lots
I'll
two,
make
three,
extension
six,
I
seven,
know,
I have one that
We
works.
talked so much
Didn't think about
about
it.
it, I thought they were in here, but I don't see.
Language indeed to restrict lawn
Sorry, Jerry,
chemicals
we're
and
putting you in
language
the
indeed
corner.
to abutting open space
All
that
right,
notify
in the
homeowners
corner.
that
The
public
special
open space
conditions
access
we're talking
is next to
about,
the properties.
Okay.
Which you just
there's
added.
11 through
So,
But those other two are fine.
yeah, absolutely.
18.
Yeah, 11 through
Yes.
18.
Okay.
So we're reviewing them now.
Carrie, which did you amended 15 to include language in the deeds abutting the open space?
This is
I was
open
just gonna
space
add a
deed.
separate.
Okay.
Because Ashley
I have
wrote
two
something
more.
up, yeah.
I don't know if she added this one.
But this, the
Oh,
one
yeah,
you
that's
crossed
what I
out,
crossed out,
that's
yeah.
right, yeah, so we need to add that one,
Those
and that
two.
one, in addition to one she's already
This
at,
one
yeah.
and this one, and this one, and that one.
Right, you can consider those separate, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. That makes perfect sense. Yeah, pretty much discussed.
Should I
all
go
those anyway.
through them generally,
Can we
or do you wanna?
discuss and add the ones that
Yes.
we're talking about discussing and adding? So
Can you
another
hear
one.
okay, Jerry?
Yeah, I hear fine. Frank, with regards to your comment about, or question regarding how do you make the new property owner aware of all of the conditions, was that answered?
Well, we're gonna put
Ashley's
some
added-
deed
We're gonna-
restrictions
we're
in
gonna-
right now.
We're gonna add it to the special conditions.
All right.
So for that, what I have is lots 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, and 10 shall add a note in the deed of the aforementioned properties stating that they abut active public open space.
Okay.
Okay, that's one, so.
And then I would also like added in that, in their deeds, that.
So in that same condition?
No, different
Oh,
ones,
okay.
separate ones. That the stone markers to delineate the wetlands, require the homeowners for no dumping of lawn materials, no cutting or clearing beyond the markers, especially in lots 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Yeah, because
Yeah,
these
no,
ones
no,
don't
no,
need it.
yeah, yeah.
And then, language in deeds to restrict lawn chemicals because of the wetlands.
Okay.
Okay, so those are the other special conditions that I want.
In the Shantz development, where boulders were also installed, which I thought I had included in here, it was just required that the boulders be, put in place prior to the start of construction so that we knew where the
Mhm.
boundaries were, so.
Well, the
How about
bound,
this-
it's not on boundaries, oh, it is
Oh, I'm sorry.
wetlands boundaries for lots 10,
Right. it's
9,
different.
8, 7, 6, 3, and 2, but it's also the back property line of 2, 3, 6, and 7.
So just
where
that
it
the-
isn't on 8, 9, and 10. It's the wetlands boundary and not the property lines of 8, 9, and 10. And so that's why, especially with lots 8, 9, and 10, and lots 2, 3, 6, and 7, there's no dumping beyond the boulders, no cutting or clearing beyond the boulders,
Disturbance of any kind.
disturbance of any kind beyond the boulders, especially in lots 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then also another one saying in the deeds as well, to restrict lawn chemicals. Lawn chemicals are not allowed because it abuts wetlands.
Okay.
So any more?
So Jerry, did you hear those?
No, I really can't. All I can hear is the
Here.
typing.
If you wanna tell him.
All right, so she's adding special conditions that the stone
Okay.
markers to delineate wetlands, the no dumping of lawn,
Lawn
lawn
material, cutting or
materials, no cutting of any of the grasses there, no use of lawn, chemicals, and then language is deed about abutting the open space, and all of this would go as conditions.
And so when you said stone markers, are we talking about?
Boulders.
Like at the previous, at the Shantz Farm?
At the
Yes.
yes.
Stones and, laid in perpetuity?
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
exactly.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I'm shaking my head, but I know you can't see.
Yes.
I'm going, yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
As long as you can hear us, that's all that counts.
And then let's just, does anyone remember the size of the boulders? I think I'll ask, Bob. What,
Yeah,
do you remember
large.
the size of the boulders
Pretty
that
decent
we,
size,
that
weren't
were
they?
spec'd and?
They were like 3 feet.
30 inches is, I think, what we.
3 to 4 feet, right? Isn't that what I'm thinking, or whatever, 30,
Yeah.
diameter. Yeah, they were big enough where
They're very
you need a bulldozer, someone couldn't roll them with a wheelbarrow, you need a bulldozer to move them, so.
So a minimum of 30 inches in diameter, is that okay with everyone?
Minimum,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Does, I mean, they need to be big enough that you cannot move them by hand. I mean, anybody who gets a machine in there certainly could, but 3 foot by 4 foot, anything that or larger would certainly do the trick.
That's what we're
That's
talking
what
about.
we just said, yes.
That's what we're talking
Say
about.
3 feet?
Yeah.
Yeah, are we
And
in
you-
agreement on measurements?
Yes.
Yeah. And you
Okay.
want to, and you also already stipulated that they have to be placed before the building
Yes.
occurs. Yeah.
Shall be installed prior to the start of construction on the lot, you said.
Yep.
And then just one other thing I wanted to point out is that in the draft conditions that I had put together for special condition 17, this was a carryover from the original approval, but it talks about per Connecticut DEP's letter dated April 2nd, 2018, from Director Robert Isner, any solid waste as defined by section 22A, 207, parenthesis 3 of the Connecticut General Statutes that is discovered during any subdivision investigation and/or development activity shall be removed from the site, including but not limited to those locations identified in the LEA report dated April 2nd, 2018, and shall be properly managed at a solid waste facility authorized to receive the subject solid waste. And then this is the part that I just added. And the owner/developer shall submit to the town verification by a licensed environmental professional stating the amount of material, parenthesis, in cubic yards at each identified location removed from the site.
She's reading
Okay.
17.
Okay.
She read 17.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, if this, any other, just,
Just one last thing, just,
Before we,
for exhibits, I'd like to, one thing I forgot to mention is adding exhibit number 12, which will be a copy of the phase 1, phase 1 site assessment done by Lorero, which is dated May of 2017. So that had been included in the prior submittal, but I, would like to get a copy of that for this
Oh, okay.
application, this file, I should say. That's it?
okay. So, I guess we can wrap this up a little bit. Is there any other questions or concerns? We can entertain closing the public hearings. Oh, yep.
No, I was just curious on the retention basin, is that on the open space, what kind of maintenance does that need? And you never clarified who would end up doing that. I don't know, is it something?
That would be the
once
town.
a year, is it something?
That would be the town. That would be in the
open
application.
space? That would be the town?
The town would have an easement in their favor
Yes.
to,
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
clean it
It's on
out.
the map, the easement to, yeah, to get to, yeah. That's okay.
I
No, that's, it's a
appreciate it.
good question, but yes, no, that would be, right,
So that's on the new plans, not the
right.
old?
Right.
well,
Right, because they've been modified and changed, right, because they moved the, right, so that's on the most current plans, there's easements to allow the town to get to and maintain that, yes.
Just a question.
Yeah,
The boulders are placed on the wetland boundary exactly, or are they on the upland review boundary?
it's going to be,
It's not on the wetland boundary, it's actually
it's gonna be it's gonna be more towards identifying the buffer to allow.
And it's-
Actually,
we
you're
don't-
right, though, on 8, 9, what are now called 8, 9, and 10.
It is wetlands
It's on
boundary.
wetlands,
8, 9, and 10 is the wetlands boundary.
and then on the
No.
others, since the wetlands does not actually come all the way
Correct,
up
it's
to
the upper
lots, it's
upland
on the
review.
lot lines delineating the open space.
Yep.
But I think limits of disturbance, right, are
It's actually
inside,
up, the plan that I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, if you come over and look
It's
at this.
actually upland from the wetland flags on this plan.
On 8, 9, and 10?
Yes,
Yes.
you can see it right on this plan here, if you wanna look at it. It's,
This is all? Oh,
if you look here,
okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's
Oh,
fine.
yeah, see,
You
on
can
mine,
you can
it's
see it.
on the,
Oh, okay.
but this isn't the wetlands.
Limits of disturbance of.
The disturbance is different on my map than it is on this one. This is a different
Well,
disturbance
let's
area.
look at the big plan, because the one that you have, the smaller
This
one
one,
is
this one.
outdated.
Okay, let's look at this
Here's the one we were looking at. Which map is, which one is it, C3, C3 or something like
Yep, that has.
that? This one? Yeah, it's right here, right?
Right, that's the one we're looking at.
All right, even.
Yeah, so that's
Further.
inside, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we're
further
together,
closer
right?
to the,
Okay.
you know,
So here's the wetland flags.
right.
Right, so this is upland review?
So that's how we allow,
Yes.
that's what we're trying
Okay.
to have a true buffer of no
And
disturbance.
actually, this is also, this line, I believe, is,
The 200 foot?
I don't know.
No, because
No,
it's
it's like
less than
100 foot.
200 foot, that's the 100
100,
foot.
right.
So it's less than the 100 foot,
But it's
but
pretty
it's
close to
still upland review.
it. Right, it's still better than being.
And it kind of
Yeah.
zigzags with the
It's
one
kinda
hundred
hard to-
foot.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah, right, it's better than just putting it on the wetland boundary, obviously, which is, by that point, you're
Yep.
almost in the wetlands, so.
And how far are they apart? The one I have, I think that's all will not be boulders, but it varies depending.
The,
on
the spacing of the boulders, you know, I was thinking of that, do we wanna come up with, I mean, what'd you guys do when you did the shots?
Either 3 or 4 per lot, kind of, we didn't have a set measurement, it was just near property.
Was it like 20
corners,
feet or so, or 20,
property
25?
corners Or property lines between houses, or
Right.
lots rather, and then 1 or 2 in between.
In between, right, to keep us straight, yeah, but I wanna say they were about 30 feet, give or take, or,
Probably more like 50, I think.
were they big or wide, I'm trying, those are big lots, so I'm just thinking, but they're still visible, like, if you stand,
So what if
30
we
feet in
say,
this room would seem like a long distance,
Right.
30 feet when you're on a lot.
right,
is
because
very
50
close
feet,
together.
that means if
We
you
say
stand
no
in the middle of
more
it, you see,
than
you look
50
25,
feet?
okay.
No more than 50 feet
How
apart.
about 50 feet, would that be reasonable?
No
I mean,
more than 50
No more than
feet
50
apart.
feet, less is okay, but no more, yeah, that would, at least that way, especially as this brush and things grow up, it's,
Although that's an awfully long distance, because if you look at somebody's backyard, like I'm looking at this, the length of this room, this is a 30-foot room.
I'd say it's about 40 feet.
Is it about 40 feet?
45 feet.
But I'm looking like, if there's a boulder right here and a boulder on that wall, there's plenty of room to get through and not notice that there's boulders there.
Well, it's not to say that it might, it's all gonna be, it's, you know,
Well, we
it's-
should be consistent with what we did in other places.
Yeah, that's all,
I
that's
mean,
why
that's what we did at Shan's Farm, we shouldn't be any different.
Well, I don't know, we did.
The intent was not to keep people, it wasn't to build like a stone wall to protect.
No, we're not
No, it's just-
asking
no,
for a
the-
stone
the-
wall,
it's
but
more
we're
of a mark.
asking,
It's really for an enforcement effort, so that.
Right.
Correct.
It's a clear mark, demarcation.
Correct.
Right.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's what we tried on this plan, make them in a straight line,
What
you could
spacing is
visually
being
look down.
suggested
Correct.
from stone to stone?
So, the spacing from the stone to stone, we're talking about either corner of the lot, let me make sure I got it right, so I'm looking at you. Either corner of the lot, and then maybe one or two in the middle?
That's what we've done
Something
at
like
Sean's,
that,
yes.
what they did at Shan's Farm.
Yeah, that's
There's not a specific, I know I've been out by Shan's Farm, we even actually looked at a house there, and the boulders were very clear.
The whole back line of a lot might have 5 stones.
no,
Yeah, well,
not
no,
that many.
Probably
Well,
not.
depending on how long the
Depends
lot
on
is,
the
but
lot.
these lots are narrow, so probably not,
Right.
so.
But there'll be,
Well,
I know
some
you
is
can
the
tell at
longest
Chance
there.
Farms,
Right,
you can
that's
tell
far,
there's
yeah.
the stones there. I mean, it's,
It all depends which lot we're looking at, yeah.
I mean, it's,
I forget what it was for Sean's, but I just know that it changed. It had been set at a certain amount and then it was decreased because it was,
Because
There
there
was
was
a
too far
request.
of a distance between.
no, I think the opposite happened.
What was the spacing at the Sean's Farm?
Let me go get.
Carrie can't remember.
she's gonna go get this, get that.
I mean,
I'll
it
be
was
back.
pretty liberal, I thought, pretty wide.
Yeah, it was. I'll be back to it.
That's fine.
We're on a commercial break.
Stretch, take.
Anybody want a cookie?
Mary made some delicious cookies if you'd like one.
Sorry, Jer.
I think
There's Snicker, no, Lindsay, seriously.
No, she made, really,
No, there's a
they're
ton.
still warm.
Snickerdoodle or raspberry? Raspberry
I like them all. They look great, thank you.
Snickerdoodle or raspberry bars?
Oh,
That way I don't have to choose. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
yeah, well, that was the basis for 17 here, and then Carrie added on to that. So she modified, this is modified from the original one to include,
This is no more than 100 feet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
so I guess 50 is pretty good then. And then actually added 3
But
other ones
Carrie,
that we wanted to address.
This is on a vital river that feeds into
Oh, yeah.
Lake Salton Fall, so this
Right.
is a different situation.
Right, well,
Yeah,
that's
just
where,
wanted to know-
so
just wanted to know what
50, I think
recommended,
seems.
right.
Yes, 50 is fine.
50 is fine, that's all. Okay. Is that reasonable,
So they're
50,
gonna
just
go- they're
because
gonna
of
go
the
with 50
proximity to the
feet.
river and,
Yeah,
okay,
okay.
I don't have a problem with that. It's kind of, my daughter's.
So these back lines are a minimum of, is it like 200?
How wide the lots are?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, about that, they're saying.
Of 200, I mean, they're acre lots, I mean.
Right, about 200.
So you have to have 200 or approximately.
Yeah, so you'll have about 4 to 5 boulders, give or take.
Yeah, okay.
Depending on the shape of the lot.
Right, some are a little narrow, some are a
Yeah,
little longer,
because
right?
9 is only like
Right.
this.
So we're okay with the conditions? We got
Yeah, I'm
that
all set.
done. Okay, we're good with that, okay. So, again, Carrie, anything else? I mean, well, the next question is, if we feel, unless the public has any more questions or comments or concern, we could probably close the public hearing, just because I think we've got everything. So, one last time, if anyone.
I can't hear you.
He's gonna
We're
close
talking
the
about closing
He's
it.
gonna close the public hearing.
I'm just gonna ask for one last group of comments, and then we're gonna close the public hearing.
We need an extension
You're
cord.
welcome. So again, any other comments that you'd like to share with us at this point, or, okay, you sure? Okay.
Got a cookie here.
You got 2.
Not that we're trying to bribe you, but, feel free to help yourself.
We're giving him cookies.
There you go.
So, I guess then we need a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, a second. So, all in favor to close the public hearing?
Aye.
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 Okay, aye. Motion
I have
passes.
a loud
The
enough
hearing
voice
is-
so you can hear me.
Then if you did want to take action, if someone could just make a motion to take action on the item to add the item to the agenda to take action on the public hearing item, IWWA 2018-14.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to take action on item,
To add.
to add to the agenda, whatever you said, IWWA number 2018-14.
Motion for approval.
Motion for approval.
Yeah. We need a second.
Jerry, you want to second that?
I'm sorry.
So we're making it, I made a motion to add to the agenda to approve,
To take action.
to take action on the.
2018-14.
2018, on the application.
2018-14?
Yes.
This one we're talking about?
Yes.
Right.
Just
right.
because it wasn't on the agenda.
And, you're not gonna read that whole motion, are you?
Well, no, we gotta get approval first to
No,
put it on the
There's two
agenda.
parts, Jerry. We gotta prove that we can.
We need you to second it, Jerry.
He seconded.
Sometimes
Thank
less-
you.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so
Aye.
that part is passed. Okay.
Okay, so now we have to make a motion.
Okay, so you have a draft in front of you.
No, not with all the other changes.
All right, well, actually, you're gonna have to add in the lawn
Okay.
chemicals part, but
Yep.
here you go.
So
We
why don't
can
you-
ad-lib it, right?
Unfortunately, Ashley, that means you're gonna have to read, because
No,
you have
I'm
all
gonna
the.
write it out, and he's gonna read
Oh,
the
okay.
rest of it.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
You
Because
want-
it starts on this page.
You want me to do the
Well,
motion?
you have to do, yeah.
Okay.
And I would, for the, all of the plans, I think that you can just read the first one and just say revised 2, and then whatever the date is, and then just read the sheets, sheet S1, S2, you know what I
Took
mean?
me to get that right. Okay, we'll try. Oh, I see.
So you don't have to
I
read all
gotcha.
of it, you know what I mean?
Yep, all right.
Wait, one second. I'm just gonna add it on here.
I think we took a break.
Okay.
All right. So I move to approve IWWA application number 2018-14 for the re-subdivision of the original 13-lot subdivision IWWA application number 2017-7, approved on April 4th, 2018, to create 10 residential single-family house lots with regulated activities located within the 100-foot upland review area and/or the 200-foot farm river review area on the property currently known as 363 Totucket Road, Assessors Map 36, Lot 10, R40 zone, including gradings on lots 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, construction of a house on Lot 8 and Lot 10, construction of septic systems and/or reserve areas on lots 6, 7, 8, and 10. Construction of a stormwater outflow structure between lots 6 and 7, and installation of a public water line between lots 7 and 8 to service each of the 10 lots, and consisting of a total of approximately 15,470 square feet of 100-foot upland review area and approximately 3,490 square feet of 200 feet from the center of the farm river review area, to be impacted on property known as 363 Totucket Road, Assessors Map 36, Lot 10, R40 zone, owner What TF LLC, applicant ATA Realty, as contained in submitted applications, documents, and shown on plans entitled Riverview Farms, 363 Totucket Road, North Branford, Connecticut, prepared by Harry E. Cole and Son, stamped by Michael S. Lambert, P.E., and Stephen Guidis, L.S., consisted of the following sheets. I would need to just read S1, SD1, SD2, SD3, SD4, C1, C2, C3, C4, ES1, ES2, D1, D2, SSDS1, SSDS2, with the following standard conditions. Standard IWWA conditions 1 through 10, and the following special conditions. Number 11, any changes to the approved plans that include unpermitted work within regulated areas, including wetlands, 100-foot upland review areas, and/or 200-foot farm river review areas, shall require new separate applications to the North Branford Conservation and Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency. Number 12, adherence to the requirements of the East Shore Health District Department as stated in their letter dated February 27th, 2019. Number 13, adherence to the requirements of the Regional Water Authority as stated in their letter dated February 27th, 2019. Number 14, the agency recommends to the Planning and Zoning Commission that the open space areas be deeded to the North Branford Land Conservation Trust. Number 15, the open space deed and easement across lots 10 shall be subject to the review and approval of the town attorney, North Branford Land Conservation Trust, and town planner. The deed draft and easement documents shall be submitted at the same time that the applicant submits to the wetland agency staff the final approval subdivision plans acted on by the Planning and Zoning Commission for conformance with the Inland Wetlands Agency wetland approval. Number 16, all necessary state and federal permits and approvals must be received prior to the issuance of the wetland permit. Number 17, per Connecticut Deep's letter dated April 2nd, 2018, from Director Robert C. Eisner, any solid waste as defined by Section 22A-2073 of the Connecticut General Statutes that is discovered during end subdivision investigation and/or development activity shall be removed from the site, including but not limited to those locations identified in the LEA report dated April 2nd, 2018, and shall be properly maintained at a solid waste, properly managed at a solid waste facility authorized to receive the subject solid waste, and the owner/developer shall submit to the town verification by a licensed environmental professional stating the amount of material in cubic yards at each identified location removed from the site. Number 18, adherence to the requirements of the Connecticut Deep General Permit for the discharges of stormwater and dewatering wastewaters associated with construction activities. Number 19, lots 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 10, add a note to the deeds of the aforementioned property stating that they abut active public open space. Boulders are this one here. Boulders.
Number 20.
Number 20.
Or is that the boulders is with the other one?
Nope,
With the public
that's
open
right.
space? Yeah,
Yep,
yeah, number 20.
Number 20, stone markers shall be installed prior to the start of construction of each lot with language of deeds of no cutting, clearing, or dumping or disturbance of any kind, especially on lots 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Boulders, minimum 3 feet in diameter, spaced no more than 50 feet apart. Number 21, language and deed restricting the use of lawn chemicals.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is
No,
we need a second, obviously, yes.
Jer?
Jerry, you want a second? You want to?
I'll second that.
Perfect.
Okay, so we're gonna do a roll call vote, just so for clarity, so if you wanna start, Jerry?
Yes, in favor.
Okay.
I'm in favor.
Aye.
Okay, aye, okay, so 4 ayes, and the application is approved. And we're all set. Good luck.
Get it done.
Do you mind passing that one down? The,
I did,
One of
I
the
gave it
notes.
to you.
Oh, do I have it here?
Yeah, we passed it back down to Steve.
Oh, did I? Did I do it? I have it here somewhere.
pass these down.
Terry,
Why, you
need a
can-
motion for cookie break.
You want a cookie before you go?
Take care, and good night.
Good night.
Night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's
So,
keep going.
okay, so I guess we can move to number 6, other business, item A,
Or do
update
we have to
regarding.
mention number 5 and is not here?
Oh, yes, that's right, you're right. So we were gonna move on to number 5, old business, item A, IWWA 2018-13, but before I read it all in, Carrie, you indicated that we're gonna postpone this till the,
Yes,
Next
to the March 27th meeting.
do we need to have
So
have
we're
a
gonna
motion to do
postpone
that, or?
No,
is
that's
it
okay.
requested?
Business
Yes.
to March 27th.
Okay. Okay, so we're good to move on then, okay.
Yes.
So now we'll move on to item 6, other business.
Other business.
Item A, update regarding 261 Tucket Road.
Did they actually get back to you?
They did. Well, so I called him today and spoke with him. He said that he is still waiting for money from the insurance company, but he expects to work with an engineer for a survey.
Carrie, I'm sorry, I
That's
can't
okay.
hear you.
So 261 Totucket,
Turn them this way, there you go.
I spoke with him today, and he is waiting for money from the insurance company, but he's starting to work, hopefully with an engineer to do a survey.
And you told
which
him no more work?
I
and
told
stuff?
him no more work, and I said I'll be following up with him again next month, and we'll just keep adding him to the agenda until we get a completed application. So the works is what it is at this point, but I told him that we still need for him to go through with the application process
Mhm.
and to have a survey done.
To support what he's already
Right,
done, right?
right.
But no new work.
Yes.
That's
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yep.
very good. So, I guess we'll move on to item B, review of Farm River Watershed Project, meeting held February 21st, 2019.
So I emailed everyone information about this. So this is regarding the USDA, so United States Department of Agriculture, and the Natural Resources Conservation Services programs. So the Farm River Watershed was selected as a recipient of this grant. I thought it was a pretty good meeting. It was just really introductory. So this is the first plan that would be done in the state. And it looks at the Farm River watershed. We were selected because it's a drinking water source, so it is a very important watershed.
This was the meeting that was at 1 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
right, not the best time.
No, made it impossible for some of us to be
Couldn't
there.
make it, I wanted to go, but.
There's about $100,000 that's available to complete this plan, and so, our contact, Javier would be the point of contact. He's from the USDA, NRCS division, and they would do a national water quality initiative, and area-wide planning is what they're talking about. He really just asked for people to follow up with him as far as who's interested in continuing to be on like a committee or subcommittee going forward. It was focusing on the farmers mainly, but the end product could focus on just general education of residents, property owners, to make sure that they don't use herbicides, pesticides, et cetera. So, have I forgotten anything, Frank? You were there.
No, you got it, right?
Okay. Anything else? I don't know. So, I mean, it is of interest. I spoke with some contacts at the Regional Water Authority after the meeting and asked them what their thoughts were, and they actually recommended that we reach out to Connecticut Fund for the Environment or Save the Sound to see if they could help us get grant money to do a watershed management plan that is much more defined and I think follows more like EPA standards as opposed to what this plan is, which is more like outlines some techniques that farmers could use but isn't really enforceable is my takeaway. It would help them get funding, but if we were able to work with Fund for the Environment and that group, they could maybe help complete a plan for us, which would be great. So, yeah, we'll just kind of see where it goes. He only has the year to do the work, though, so that
Right,
is,
so he only has eight
less.
months left.
So you mean this calendar year? it's
This
gotta be done?
calendar year
Okay.
it has to be done.
Yeah, it's
Or-
by October, September 30th.
Wow.
Yeah, right, it's to finish the whole
The,
thing up.
the budget year.
Yeah.
So he's already behind. I think the shutdown, affected it. And it was, as Carrie said, it was very well attended by the agencies. There were public people there. I walked away with the belief, right or wrong, that they really needed the farmers to be part of this task group for it to be worthwhile, and even for the farmers to be part of the task group to make it be worthwhile, and even then, if there was gonna be action taken, the funding piece for the work, the amount of funding a farmer would receive is variable, and from a business standpoint, it may not make it conducive for them to finish the work. But it was a good meeting, I agree with Carrie. I thought it was an excellent meeting.
Yeah, there were over 30 people.
Oh, yeah,
there.
this room was full.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it was
Yeah.
good.
Well,
Gary, one thing that's worth noting is East Shore Health, the health director indicated that they would really try to get involved with this process.
Right.
And he made the point that, that there should be baseline information developed on the farm river system, so that, because if you don't know where you are when you start, how do you evaluate the progress you made after you do certain things?
Right.
And it sounded like East Shore was gonna make a commitment to try to actually get some stuff done. I mean, even if it's just data gathering.
Right,
which
right.
I thought was encouraging.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
It's a good window to make this happen then this year.
Mhm.
Good.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So,
And
I
then
guess we move on to
number 7.
Wetland Enforcement Officer's report.
So the
if you
only
have
other
any.
thing to add there is that I have been in contact with the DeFrancescos regarding the horse barn on Forest Road because there's been activity over there. They've been clearing some more vegetation and tree roots, he explained to me, because we saw an excavator out there. And so he said, well, he wanted to put some gravel down and kind of clean it up a little bit. And I don't know if he dug a trench for electricity over there, but, you know, I did say just keep in contact with me about what it is that you're doing, because he's within, you know,
And it's
Not
visible.
the
gonna
watershed.
happen. It's
And
not gonna happen.
It's visible. That's what
Is
we
the
know.
dumpster out there yet?
dumpster.
There's supposed to be a dumpster for the
For
waste,
the, no,
and
I
there's
will-
no dumpster yet.
okay, yep.
So
I
did
can, I'll
that
check
go
on,
through this committee, that farm?
Mhm.
yes.
Oh.
After the fact, again.
But that's what concerns me about all these things in the deed, because the real estate agents don't tell you anything and nothing's disclosed.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Anything else? I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Talked about Mill Pond. So, yeah.
Good?
Yep.
Covered? Okay.
Yep.
So I guess we need a motion to adjourn.
You wanna move to adjourn, Jerry?
Second.
Need a second?
I did.
All set.
Okay,
Ask him
all
what the
in favor?
temperature is down there.
Okay, Jerry, what's the
Aye.
temperature?